Afghanistan as well, Mr. Mast.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Generals, for your attendance and for your answers today and for putting on a uniform in defense of this country. I think any of us that put on a uniform want the next generation to wake up every day and be able to say this country's still worth it. America is worth the fight. And it's one of the most important reasons that we have these hearings and that we do these oversights so that everybody can wake up and say, yeah, this is a place that's worth it. I want to ask some questions about targeting. I've watched your all's interviews from in uniform to leaving uniform. As you can imagine, it's of great personal interest to me and, of course, to the Gold Star families as well throughout the war. We left on August 30th, 2021. We lost 13 service members on the 26th of 2021. And moving behind those dates, can you recall when the last time it was that America targeted somebody specifically for the purpose of termination on the 25th, on the 24th, on the 23rd, wherever, whether it be ISIS-K, whether it be Taliban, whether it be al-Qaeda?
Sure. On the night of 28 August, we targeted an ISIS-K bomb maker in Nangarhar province.
Prior to the 26th, General. I know that we made a mistaken target.
That was the 29th. That was 2 days later.
Prior to the 26th, prior to the Abbey Gate.
It had been quite a while before we had actually struck any deep targets. It had been a lengthy period of time. I couldn't give the exact date, but it was probably a matter of many weeks since we had struck a target that you would develop and strike as a personality target or a deep strike target. Our strikes were during the period, particularly after the Doha Agreement. We were more in direct self-defense of Afghan forces, and that became increasingly difficult to deliver as our aircraft were repositioned out of Afghanistan as we drew down. So our strikes became increasingly limited. Now, the Afghans struck, and they'd struck not only close defense targets, but deep targets, but we had very limited visibility on those targets, and I do not believe they were necessarily effective in those strikes.
And I want to get to that a little bit, General McKenzie. And one of your interviews was with Fox, and you said this specifically: there were a wide variety of targets the U.S. military told the Taliban to look at. And it's that I really want to get specifically to. When did that envelope change for America, and what did it look like? Which targets were we choosing to give to the Taliban to target, and which targets were we keeping for ourselves? What met that threshold of saying the U.S. is going to hit this, but we're going to give this off to the Talibs?
Sure. So I'd prefer to talk a little bit more about this in the closed session, but we passed the Taliban information on targets that were in close proximity to Kaya, places where we thought ISIS-K was gathering, ISIS-K might be preparing to strike, and there were about 18 of those targets that we passed. And they took action on some of them. I can't tell you if they took action on all of them because we didn't have visibility on them. Now, when I say they actioned them, they didn't strike them with a drone, obviously. They drove out, looked at the location, may or may not have taken action. But I can tell you that we did that, I believe, 18 times during this period of time. And by that, I mean after 15 August until we left the country.
After 15 August, or you said it was several weeks before we had since we had targeted somebody prior to the Abbey Gate?
Correct, and we were not targeting before 15 August in any number in Afghanistan. But specifically, I was answering your question about the Taliban, because the relationship with the Taliban was a direct, highly transactional relationship based on our withdrawal between 15 August and 30 August.
And here's the reason that timeline, that looking at that is important to me. As I said, I've looked at your all's comments, your interviews, things that you've said, and speaking on a different subject, you were speaking about Iran, the failure of the Biden administration in taking Iran off the target list. Not that we should drop ordnance on them tomorrow, but that they should be on the list just so that there is deterrence, just so that they know they can't act and not have a response by the United States of America, and that is a failure. And you used specifically the terminology that to take Iran off the target list was to give Iran aid and comfort, were the exact words. And it is my opinion that if we are ceasing to target al-Qaeda, ISIS-K, or the Taliban in those days leading up to August 26th, then just as you looked at a lack of targeting Iran as giving the enemy aid and comfort, I would look at giving that enemy, I would look at those lack of actions as giving that enemy aid and comfort. And in that General, my time has expired.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes